Hi guys, it's Ricky, and in this video, I'm talking about Westborough Mental Health Hospital in Westborough, Massachusetts, and how they're allowed to kidnap people or hold them against their will without any explanation whatsoever, and how the law doesn't help citizens and really doesn't offer us any answers or explanation as to what's going on. I was sent here to this hospital after my incident at Bay State Medical Center in Springfield, which was after going to Hampden County Court to file a harassment order. And so I went to file the harassment order. They rejected me, said they were going to teach me a lesson. I went, I went. I was sent to Bay State Medical Center, and the doctors there said they were going to teach me a lesson and then assaulted me when I asked for a lawyer. They threw me on the ground and shut my phone off with lightning speed. So when I got to Westborough Saturday afternoon on the 19th, I was only allowed to turn my phone on for a moment to grab a couple numbers, and they didn't even want to allow me to do that. I was allowed to talk to a doctor for maybe like 15 seconds, if I was lucky. I tried to ask him what was going on, why I was being held, why no one was willing to explain anything to me. And then he ended the conversation. There was no explanation for anything. He looked disgusted that I had even asked. So I was there a couple days. I mean, they didn't do anything. I was ignored the entire time. They never explained anything my entire visit. So the first few days were me trying to figure out what was going on. I tried to make phone calls and I wasn't able to get a hold of anybody Saturday or Sunday. But then I complained. I'm like, "Well, where's my thyroid medication? If you people are going to keep me, why don't you have my up-to-date medical records?" And they didn't seem to know what I was talking about, or they weren't really concerned. And then when I told them what drug I was on, they just gave me a dose. They trusted me. They didn't look it up. So then I complained about that. Like, how is it even possible in 2025 that if I really did have a mental health issue and I was sent to a mental health hospital, they don't have my up-to-date medical records. They tried to offer me drugs that I don't even take anymore, and for reasons that they don't even know why I don't take those drugs anymore. But either way, I filed a complaint about that because I wanted to start keeping track. Because otherwise nobody believes you if you don't tell them what happened. My face was still swollen, my hand was still swollen, my leg was all swollen. I was having trouble walking, having trouble walking, and it'd be terrible talking through this video, but I called the police Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I believe I filed this complaint Wednesday, the 23rd. But the police never came to take pictures of my injuries. They said they were going to come, and then I learned that the hospital had turned them away and that it's hospital policy to turn police away when patients call for help or if they request law enforcement's assistance for anything, which I'm pretty positive is illegal. But anyway, the human rights officer here said he had to educate staff on patients' right to contact police at any time to request a visit. So what does that mean? How many other patients have called the police and they didn't get a response? I'm going to stop here for a second. I looked this up online. I don't know how this crime radar works and if there's any crime radars from when I called, but on August 10th, someone else called from Westborough Mental Health Hospital saying that two staff members threatened to stick them in seclusion. If you listen to the audio, I'm not going to, no, it says it right here. You can read it. But they threatened to assault him and stick him in seclusion, and that's exactly the type of thing that I witnessed while I was in the mental health hospital there. For the first few days, I spoke to a doctor. He ran by me on Saturday. I believe it was for 30 seconds just to see. if I was there, make sure who I was, and then that was it. Uh, this is I hate talking about this. It's so terrible. So I called the CPCS. I called a whole bunch of people. I called my primary care on Monday. I called the CPCS, which is a lawyer service for people in Massachusetts. I called Commonwealth Care Alliance, my health insurance company, trying to figure out what was going on, and no one could explain anything. Everyone was in the dark. When I finally did get the lawyer to arrive, that was Wednesday, the 23rd, he told me to do a half wink, take the medication and sign the paperwork, and I'll be gone in 3 days, which obviously didn't happen because I left on the 30th, 7 days later. But why would I agree to take medication for no reason and for no explanation? And why would I agree to sign paperwork when I was being held against my will? I never agreed to go to that hospital, and there was no medical diagnosis given to me or to anyone as to why I would be sent to a place like that. And it was exactly the same for every other patient in that hospital because I took that entire time to get to know recovering drug addicts and mental health patients, and they suffered through the same nonsense that I suffered through, and they had it much worse. Thankfully, that CPCS lawyer, I guess, was somewhat on top of things. I told him that I put all of this online. I was talking with AI, and I share all of this publicly. As soon as he got there, and I told him I was going to share all of this publicly, like I have no secrets. I have no secrets from anybody. None of this bothers me, and I love talking about it. But he seemed to be in the dark. He refused to take pictures of my injuries as well, saying that he was taught not to. And I'll show you a picture of that before I stop here. Other patients, why don't I just jump past here? Ugh, what is this? It wouldn't let me take photos of my injuries. What is this? Me? I wanted a different doctor. The doctors told me I was a bad person. They were going to send me to Bridgewater for 6 months. One doctor said because I had smoked weed that it made me manic. Like, well, when did I smoke this weed and when was I manic? Because I was in the hospital for days and you're offering me drugs, which they offered me Depakote and Carbatrol, which decades ago caused me to lose my mind and end up in the psych ward and try to hurt myself. They knew that these medications had a very severe negative side effect on me and still tried to get me to take them and showed no concern for my safety or well-being if I did take them because I asked this doctor, Rathor Praveen. I wonder if I still have her picture here. You can't see it good, but this is her here. She's older now. She's I don't know if she's like 70. She's been doing this for 40 years. And she's got a terrible, horrible attitude. One of the nastiest people you could ever deal with in your life. If you have a real mental health issue, she's not someone you want to deal with. Now, there's another person. This guy was having a negative reaction to some medication he was taking. No one would explain anything that was going on to him. And then staff encouraged him to fight me and another patient one night. And then I ended up pulling this guy aside and saying, "Hey, I'm sorry, dude, that they're doing this to you. It's not your fault." And I told him to file a human rights complaint. And thankfully, he let me take a copy of it before I left on the 30th because this is disgusting. People need help. I don't know what his real issue was, but the medication that they were giving him made him feel so much worse, and nobody would explain anything. There was no one there to talk to or help you through anything. It was absolutely disgusting. And I'd forgotten what this was like from a decade ago when I was actually sick in the hospital and I'd wanted help and I didn't get it. But I won't get into that at the moment. And then another incident, a kid, Joey, was having a reaction to medication. And then instead of helping him, staff egged him on. And then they ended up assaulting him. They restrained him, threw him on the ground, smashed his head on the floor 6 times. From what I saw, they could have done it more, but I saw six. It was absolutely disgusting. I called my cell phone. and allowed the incident to be recorded. I didn't speak through most of this, and it was horrifying. And a part of me wanted to go attack those staff for what they were doing. I've worked in group homes before, and I was trained in this nonviolent restraint training, and they didn't do that at all. They were all over this kid. It was absolutely terrible. The whole hallway was upset, and thankfully, I got a copy of this the day I was leaving as well, because I had another patient. I asked them. We both signed this human rights violation, and I don't like it. Where do you get alleged when multiple people? Let's set it on the other. This guy was the one egged on. The staff told him to fight us, and patient alleged that staff and were encouraging peers to fight. What do you mean alleged? We were the ones involved in this situation. There's no alleged. You did it. Why? Why would you treat your patients like that? It's absolutely disgusting. And then the female patients, there was multiple complaints of sexual harassment. I felt terrible for these women having to deal with men all the time, and some of them acted very disgusting. And there's nothing you can do about it. You're just stuck there. A woman, Megan, lost her diamond earrings and her wedding rings. I felt horrible for her. I don't know if I actually lost any of my stuff. It might actually be at Bay State, so I'm not going to say anything about that. But these people were wonderful people. I spent like 100 hours, 200 hours talking to these recovering drug addicts and mental health patients, trying to get to know them. These group sessions that they have set up for them are a joke. It's like you're dealing with children. All right, adults, let's get around and color and talk about what makes you feel bad. And everyone said the same exact thing. They feel abandoned. They all feel lonely. There is no help. Nobody cares. While we were there, I took the opportunity to read the Bible because I had plenty of free time and I couldn't sleep at night worrying about my dog since her neck isn't doing so great. And then I thought, like, well, I've been reading the Bible. Maybe these people that sent the Bible, the Gideons, would come and help. Why don't they come and speak to people about the Lord or about improving their lives? And then I called them, and the guy on the phone says, they don't help people like this. These people deserve to be in these types of hospitals and they don't want help. And that's the biggest load of BS I've heard ever. Like, I've talked to these people for countless hours and they do want help and they feel like they don't have a purpose and they feel lost. If people feel lost and you have some answers, like, why don't you show them the way? All these religious institutions make me sick. Like, how can you claim to love God and love yourself and you're supposed to love your neighbor, but you'll never do anything to help your neighbor? You won't reach out to your neighbor to give them a hand when they need it. So, a buddy of mine now that I met in the hospital, Dallas, this isn't really about the hospital, but I'm pretty sure this is all part of their insurance fraud scheme. He got driven 53 miles and they said it was 65 bucks. I guess I did the math. It's like 3,000 something. So I don't know where they get this $2,969. Break out your calculators and do the math, people. Why don't these papers add up? When they sent me an hour and a half away, $4,300, they're going to charge my insurance company. I'm not sending this to the insurance company. I'm going to wait to fight this in court. But we'll skip past the Bay State bill. But Westborough, disgusting bastards, wouldn't give me my phone until the 28th. That's 10 days after I was assaulted at Bay State. They did everything they could to make sure that the swelling on my face and the bruising was gone. They couldn't see my leg because it was covered. I was wearing pants the entire time. And then they made sure that the bruising was almost, you couldn't see the bruising anymore, but the swelling is still there. I'll show you in a second because you can see the tendons are back. Like, oh, how did that work? There's all that swelling from them smashing my face, smashing my hands and knees on the ground because they wanted my phone at Bay State that badly, those dirtbags. And then I wrote my lawyer after the fact. I'm like, well, just in case you're not sure of what the law is regarding taking pictures, I sent them a copy of that human rights violation. And then he gives me the crappy excuse. Where is it here? I was always taught not to take pictures. That's a lie. No lawyer is taught not to represent their client as best as humanly possible. Why wouldn't you take pictures of salt injuries? Whatever. I don't even know how to describe all this. Like, how do you talk about the disgusting way that you've been treated or other people have been treated? All the people in this hospital said the same exact thing. And there was only one kid that had anything positive to say, and it was about the food. And then when I talked to him after the fact, it's because he was homeless and eating out of garbage cans, and that's why he was happy to be in the hospital. That's disgusting. All of these people, they had nowhere to turn. They didn't know what to do. I've even had like my buddy Dallas's mother wrote, I'll talk to him and do a video separate. But they didn't explain anything to his family. No one knows what was going on. He felt alone. When people in my family called the hospital, those calls never got through to me. When I tried calling the hospital after I got out to talk to other patients, they didn't put me through. They claimed, "Oh, we can't say if someone's here or not, but you could put me through to the phone in the hallway," because they did that for other people. So I'm not sure if they recognized my voice and knew what I was up to since I filed so many human rights violations and got all these patients together to talk about their rights. But this is absolutely terrible. Doctors should not be allowed to threaten people, tell them they're bad people, and say, "Hey, we're going to send you to Bridgewater Mental Health Hospital for 6 months" without any explanation. Yet, I guess it's allowed. Thankfully, I told my whole life story and I've got a big mouth and was sharing it online ahead of time and then made this, stuff aware to my lawyer, aware of it. Otherwise, I could be stuck there right now. If I didn't have such a big mouth and wasn't going out of my way to make this stuff known, I could be stuck with other people who have big mouths, but thought they were going to save this stuff for court. I hope other people can use this information. I'll try to call and find out when people are locked in the hospital, when I see these crime radars, if I can call CPCS and send a lawyer there to help these people. Because if they don't have family looking out for them, or they don't have a clue what's going on, they're going to be stuck. And this is disgusting. So I hope anybody that watches this maybe ask me more questions. There's so much I'm sure I've left out. There there are so many nice people there. Is disgusted as the way I feel like I was treated by staff and the doctors. The patients were like a godsend. If I didn't know about those people, I wouldn't have thought about helping them. So, thank you for anybody that watches this, and please give me some ideas, and God bless America.